Hello to all one of you that's currently in the chat. How is it going? It is Matt from Monstrosities. And tonight is actually a very special live stream. We're going to try something new. Actually, it's not technically new. We've done this before. But as some of you may know, I am a huge horror buff. And many a times over the past couple of years, we've actually talked about J-horror with a very good friend of mine. It is my man in Japan currently, the one and only, Sir James. What is up, my man?
Hello, everybody. Well, hello, every one person in there.
no, we got three people. Oh, sorry.
Okay. Oh, just updated. Just updated. Hello, guys. How are we doing? How are we doing? We had a big bust. That's good.
I love this. This is like the person that we need. Ghastly Feeder. You know, like that with the name like that. Like that's. I mean, they're the prime demographic right now for this. Say hello to Doomzilla. RJ, what is up? Oh man, my boy Oscar. Yeah, Oscar just came to visit me a month or two back, and I love that guy.
All right.
We got Paul Tackett in the chat. We got Isabella and Superior Cyber Godzilla. What is up? How you doing? Oh, and Vapor Dreams. We gotta say hi to Vapor Dreams.
Hello, everybody.
So, James, what are we doing here? I think you and I like horror movies or something.
Yeah, we keep doing this. We keep having random arguments about what's the best horror movie ever.
We do have random arguments, don't we?
Yeah. And then we talk about how much like an expert we are on this stuff. And then everyone in chat is like, hey, have you guys heard this? And we're like, no, we haven't actually.
I forget what stream it was. It might have been one of our first ones. We were getting schooled by the people in the chat. And it was great because
you know what it was, Matt? I remember it vividly because it was the one where we were like, oh, we're the experts in J-horror, so we're going to introduce a lot of new J-horror to the populace. And then in the chat, we were schooled by everyone telling us about J-horror we had no clue about.
Yeah. You know, honestly, that just goes to show that, everybody in this damn fandom shouldn't have an ego about it. There's always something new to learn, and nobody is truly an expert. So, the way I have this listed right now, and you already know this, but I'm explaining to the folks at home, is I have this listed as the horror club, the horror club. You can't say horror without it sounding like the other word that, for like a lady of the night, shall we say. And, we've been talking about doing this for a while, concentrating on like a group of movies to talk about or something. And originally, we were going to jump back and talk about the cinema of Koji Shiraishi, who had done Noroi. We talked about that previously. That was a movie that you actually turned me on to. In fact, all the movies I've seen are, his films you turned me on to. But then I wanted to expand it a little bit so we could just talk about, maybe just any horror movie that we've seen. I've seen a couple in the past week that I wanted to share. Some of them are pretty okay, and then others are like completely and utterly ridiculous. But it gives a little bit of diversity to the talk. So we got some J horror, we got some international horror, we got some really cruddy trauma horror. But dude, it was great. Brian and I saw something last night that I've never heard of. It was something else. But let's just cut right to it. Originally we wanted to talk about Koji Shiraishi. You wanted to talk about Noroi, which I think was his first movie.
Yeah. Technically, yeah.
Oh yeah. It's like first big one. I guess he probably did stuff before that. And then Occult, and then just Cult. So guys, those at home, Occult and Cult. So we're going to be interchanging those. They are two separate movies, not the same movie. I want you to take the lead on this because you really like Occult and Noroi. I like Noroi too. I'll share my thoughts about the other two, but what is it about Shiraishi that you really enjoy? Like, what does he do? That explain to the folks at home kind of like what kind of cinema they can expect.
Well, it's like because it's like they call it point of view horror here in Japan, but as we know it, it's it's the found footage genre. Yeah. But what I kind of like about it is it's still done in like a way. It's not like it's not like done in that way where it's like this footage was found in the catacombs of the Paris like graveyards or whatever. It's like it feels like someone generally making a show. I think that's because I believe Shiraishi, he actually was a like production manager in TV before he made movies or whatever. Like, you know, he did like production work for low budget television. So it has that more realistic view to me. Like, you know, it feels like people actually making a TV documentary rather than like it's slapped together. Like, and that's why like the music makes sense. Like in like Noroi, because they're trying to make it like a dramatic moment in the show sort of thing or whatever.
Just to play, sorry for it, I wasn't trying to interrupt, but just to play up that fact, you know, something that actually happens quite a bit in his movies is that he actually plays like himself as a character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's presented as reality. He has Japanese idols, oftentimes just using their own real names and stuff. You know?
Yeah.
And you're right, though. It really, especially in the case of Noroi, it really lends itself a sense of reality that I feel is missing from some of the like the early 2000s American found footage stuff. You know,
yeah.
I think got to a point with the American found footage stuff where a camera, you know, panned to like see that blurry image just come. It didn't feel organic, but everything in Shiraishi work, regardless of how you might feel about it, everything feels organic, like you were saying, where it was like an actual crew capturing actual footage at something that could have been very real, you know.
And I think as well, like the fact that it's like these movies are very low budget, and the fact that it normally revolves around like a low budget TV crew kind of excuses the jankiness. I feel for sometimes, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you're watching like a horror movie and it's like a very high concept horror movie.
Yes.
Like I think I watched one like it was like about Area 51. It was a found footage Area 51 movie, but they really didn't have like the budget to do the aliens effectively. So like you go from like this really like really intense scene to like this wobbly alien puppet coming towards you, and it really kind of lost its charm because like it's supposed to be very high concept, and then it but whereas this feels like it matches the tone, and also sort of, I love the whole grading of it sort of thing, you know what I mean, like the way that he plays around with different aspect ratios and stuff. So like when you're watching a TV show, it's a different style of show and like footage compared to what we're seeing. Like when he shows the footage of the daughter being possessed at the ritual, that's like genuine. That is like a genuine, like 60mm footage or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? It feels like very realistic in the way he uses the low budget technology.
It doesn't feel cinematic, and that's not a negative when you're talking about these movies. You know what I mean? It's supposed to feel like it's just exactly what it is. And I feel like he genuinely captured that feeling, which again, going back to what I just said earlier, is I think something that is just not easily done. You know what I mean? It's very lo-fi. It's not, you know, slick, you know, CGI and stuff. I mean, there are some like heavier special effects towards the end of like something like say Noroi. But you know, generally speaking, I think you're right. Just real quick, like with Noroi, we've covered this in the past. I mean, and we can talk about it a little bit. But I would really like to get into like cult and occult, just to introduce it to the, you know, the folks at home and everything. But like about Noroi, do you have just some words you want to share about that real quick?
I actually when I rewatched Noroi a few weeks back, and I actually watched it with my girlfriend. So it was kind of a different experience. The first time I watched it just with me, sort of thing. And I think I said it before, and I say it again. That movie made me want to go pray at a shrine. It was so intense. But watching it with my girlfriend was really interesting because she was kind of like watching it as well. And watching her watch it was really interesting to me because there were moments where I was like, oh, that's creepy, where she was like holding a pillow to her face sort of thing, like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And seeing her, I think as well, what it made me realize is it's quite a clever movie in the way it gives out information. Because like my girlfriend, she likes kind of like, she likes mysteries, but she doesn't like complex mysteries, like, you know. So there's some movies where I watched it and she's like, I just didn't get what was happening in the plot, like, you know. So watching her kind of realize the situation as it opened up, sort of thing, it was kind of interesting watching her figure it out the way the movie was telling you, sort of thing. Like because I figured it out as well, but I'd seen the movie sort of thing. So watching someone else kind of discover the movie was really interesting. My favorite moment with watching it with her was, I think it's Marika, the idol.
Yes.
She's staying with the camera guy's mum. No, not camera guy's mum, the camera guy's wife. And she prepares the pasta lunch for them both. And then she stands up to go get a drink. Marika does, and then you just hear like her croaking, or like you hear Marika like that, and the camera just shoots up, and Marika's like that sort of thing, like you've been possessed. My girlfriend screamed and like crawled off the bed. She's like, I didn't like that. I don't like that sort of thing. And then she's like, it was just one of those moments where, like, when I watched it, I was a bit like, oh, that's a bit creepy. But my girlfriend thought it was terrifying, sort of thing. So, like I say, I had more fun watching her watch it, sort of thing, than watching it again.
Totally. Yeah. Just real quick, guys. Like, Noroi is probably the one I would recommend. The absolute most of the trilogy of movies that we're going to talk about in terms of Shiraishi's filmography. It is genuinely creepy. I don't have proof, but I am like 98% certain that the people that made Paranormal Activity completely ripped that movie off. I believe it came out like a year or two before. Or something like there was enough time to where between Noroi and Paranormal Activity that you're like, wait a minute, because everything that made Paranormal Activity, people were like praising. Noroi did first, and I really think that Shiraishi really just nailed something really special with that flick. You can actually find it over stateside. I believe it is on Shudder, which is a horror streaming service. If you guys want to watch it, legally speaking, that would be the way to go. Shudder also has a lot of really cool, other content and things of that nature. But
unfortunately, we're not sponsored by Shudder. Unfortunately, we should clarify because they do sponsor YouTubers. So we're not sponsored. Unfortunately, we should be though.
Right. We should be. Yeah, we should be. But it's just one of those things. But no, I love Noroi. But now we got look, we got some bots in here. Awesome. Fantastic.
Nice.
I'm blocking them right now. I think Doomzilla also is yes. Okay, we got some mods in the house. They're taking care of it. I love my mods, man. We got regulars like RJ and Doomzilla. I love those guys. I don't think I tell them enough. Okay, so once you told me about Noroi, like I watched that flick. I was completely. I'm not even lying. Yeah. Max and I were like creeped the F out.
I know, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly what you want with like a really good horror movie, And when you were talking to me about wanting to do a stream about like Occult and Cult, I was like, no question. And then a huge just obstacle course of problems came up for the both of us. It's a small miracle that we're actually here now talking about it.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
But I don't want to like jump into like negative stuff. I was not a big fan of either one of the movies, but I know that you are, and I would much rather have you explain just the concept of these movies, especially because you really like Occult, right? That's your favorite Shiraishi movie, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Like I think I mentioned to you before, it's like a Ring 2. Like I love Ring. It's fantastic. I think it's a great movie, but I much prefer the elements that were developed in the next movie. Although they're not technically like linked. Like it's not the same story. But for me, Occult did more of the found footage stuff that I enjoyed in Noroi, and did it a little bit tweaked and a little bit better. I thought.
Yeah. No, you can think, and I want you. I will. No, I'm serious, James. I will playfully joust with you because I mean, obviously, you can like whatever movie you want.
Of course, yeah.
Like sell this movie to them because there is a lot of interesting elements in here. Like I'm going to give it that.
I think what it starts out as, it's like a murder mystery. That well, not murder mystery, but like it's like a murder expose. There's video footage from an island, like an island off in Japan. Like, you know, it's like a holidaying island. I've actually been thinking about going there myself, and then I watched the movie. I was like, maybe not. But yeah, it's basically video. Like, it starts off and it's like recounting this horrific murder, like multiple murder that happened on this island, like just in broad daylight. A guy just took out a knife, started just stabbing people on this island.
Right.
And then he murders, he wounds one guy and carves a mark in his body and goes, "Now it's your turn," sort of thing. Jumps off into the ocean, and it's like a big mystery. Who was he? Why did he do it? So the beginning of this the beginning is like a documentary documenting the murder. It's like a true crime. And then they find out the guy who got marked is living in Tokyo. So they then becomes like a character study of this kind of like otaku, like loner, drifting through day job sort of thing like that. And he's quite the character. Like, you know, he's very quiet, weird, shy, reserved.
He's like
quite
camping out in manga cafes, you know.
Yeah. And like I think the thing is as well, like, I'm watching this from a perspective of like, I've seen this, I've not seen a murder, obviously, but I've seen these types of people around in my daily life. Like, I've seen the weird otakus. Like, I've seen like the kind of like I've been to places like in the beginning sort of thing. And I feel like and then as it kind of goes on and you're seeing more of this characters, like, I've seen guys like that. I know a guy similar to this, like, you know, not personally, but like maybe I've taught someone like that. You know what I mean? They're a bit weird or like, and he's like,
for sure.
And
again, it just not to interrupt, but like it just goes back to what we were talking about with Noroi. Like, regardless of how I feel about the movies, what Shiraishi does is that he's able to capture these, and I hate to say the word stereotypes because that signals that, you know, these don't exist. But yes, stereotypes do exist. But he captures these personality types that are very real, you know, and the personalities and stuff that show up in these movies. Again, they feel very grounded. They don't feel like they're written characters. It feels like you could just, you know, go to some manga cafe and pick this guy out, and there he is. You know what I mean?
And what I like is the
very organic.
Yeah, no, sorry, man, to cut you off there, but like the actor playing the guy made me not like him, and he did it in such a convincing way. It felt like a real guy. That you know, like, he's arrogant, but he's shy. He like is really aggressive and abusive towards the female of the cast, but really broy and buddy. Like, it reminds me of like not to take it off in that angle, but it does remind me of that kind of like incel kind of like ideology. So like, I could see that guy existing, sort of thing. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And but then it develops again, and it becomes, by the end of the movie, it's like the weird stuff's kicking in. The guy has been marked, has started becoming more aggressive, and it's not just his personality, it's him becoming like part of this cult, like the demon possessing him. And the ending, I'll tell you what, man, like, post 9/11, having an ending like that is fucking brave. Like, you know,
when you put it in context like that, no lie. You're not.
Like,
you're not
I was like, this would never be released in America freely. Like, there would be, like, post 9/11, people would be talking about it in such a negative. Like, I watched it and I was like, ooh, like, you know, as like, obviously, I'm from England, and London, we had those awful terrorist attacks in July that time, where they destroyed the buses and tried to destroy the tube stations. And you know what I mean? Like, the ending of Occult reflects the attacks in kind of a similar way. It takes place at Shinjuku Station, and isn't
it Shibuya?
Shibuya or Shinjuku? Which one is it? I've forgotten which one it is. It's one that begins
with highly populated, like just tons of people, and they're in there, like, with the camera, like, you're in the thick of it, you know, in the sea of people. You know, not to spoil anything, but it is terrifying. It is not lighthearted, you know, like, whatsoever. I will definitely agree with you on that.
And like as I go to Shinjuku or Shibuya very often, my girlfriend works in Shibuya, like like so seeing it in real life like that, so realistically displayed and less like so normal. That's the thing. The guerrilla camera work in this movie is so good because it's not like Noroi where they go out to the countryside a lot.
Right.
In this movie, they stay in the city because they're following the character through the city. So it's a lot of guerrilla filmmaking, a lot of like private filming, just watching this guy live his life, like his weird kind of like hermit life, and that's what, for me, that's what I loved about the movie. It felt more real than Noroi. Noroi did have a few moments where I felt like this is designed to scare you. Like the ending bit when what is it, Karabato, the demon, like is shown in the child.
Right.
That's such a that's good, but it's such a staged horror moment for me. Like
that is the case. That is the case.
Whereas in Occult, sorry.
No, go ahead.
But like I said, like as in Occult, I felt like they took that idea of the horror moment and they did it in such a creative way. Because it's the horror moment in this is like I'll be honest, there's not a lot of paranormal stuff physically happening. You don't really see a lot of the monsters, and like there's no big reveal of
like objects in the sky and stuff that they like.
Yeah, because they're like, oh look, it's a miracle, it's a blessing, it's a miracle, it's a blessing, like and like these little like shooting stars or like images of like octopuses and stuff in the sky. And it's like little flashes of it. And I'm not going to say it's high tech. Some of it looks laughable sometimes, but it's the atmosphere that brings it like this kind of weird reality. It's like you could imagine a deranged person would see this and believe this sort of thing. And also as well, even though the ending is very dark, the actual end final cut and like some of the bits in between are quite funny. Like there's an old man that starts following the camera crew around because it's actually Shiraishi behind the camera in this one. He's actually playing himself in the movie, and he starts getting sucked into this the otaku guy's kind of like plot, what he does at the end, and like he's walking around following him, and also this old guy comes along with like a little like string or something like that, and he's like screaming, "It's hell! It's hell!" Something.
No, not even like that. He's like, "It's hell," and he's like whipping him with like a towel. And I'm sorry for like overtaking you here, but this is one of these scenes where I was like, both Max and I were just kind of looking at each other and we were laughing. We had to watch it over again because the guy with the towel who's like doing like it's hell, like hitting him, trying to grab what the otaku guy has, but the struggle is so not a struggle, and it's ridiculous. And you just sit there, you're just like, is this supposed to be funny? Because is it like, is that it's weird. Look, Max is here. It's hell. That scene was so weird. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like, I think, like, I'm not, like, in general, like, Japan's quite a peaceful country.
Of course.
So, like, there's, like, and when you think about an old man, like, there is, like, this cultural thing where old men do kind of, like, barge against each other. Like, you see, like, the middle-aged men, like, barging into each other on the train to, like, fight for dominance. But, like, it's not, like, an aggressive fight. It's, like, no, you're going to yield to me sort of thing. So I kind of saw it as a play on that. And also as well, because the way he's whipping him, it reminds me of like a Shinto priest, like doing like...
that's fair enough. And that's actually the second time. I think it happens, at least I think it's the second time. There was another character earlier that tries to stop the occult guy. Like,
I think so, yeah.
There's, the otaku guy. Something that both movies, actually all three movies do very well, that I don't think we really talked about, is that it actually has this huge kind of mythology built behind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's this, there's this weird happening, and you're like, okay, what is this weird happening? And much like something like, say, The Ring or something, a weird occurrence happens, and then you just find out that it's this big, sprawling mystery that literally, in some cases, I think in the case of Occult, spans thousands of years. You know what I mean?
It's Lovecraft. It's Lovecraftian. I hate saying it, but it is Lovecraftian in the way it does things, because it did. I think that's the thing as well. One thing I really enjoyed about Occult compared to Noroi is the mystery in Noroi is kind of presented to you through them documenting them finding things through like, oh, I read a book. Oh, I saw this thing online, or oh, I visited someone. in this movie, it's like it's just like because it's such a low budget kind of like crew, they physically go to the place sort of thing.
Yes.
And like they kind of discover everything. And then I think the spirit of one of the people comes back and tells the camera guy, Shiraishi's character, what's going on, a little bit about what's going on as well. And there's like a fantastic horror moment in it, sort of thing. But yeah, I know for me, Occult did like I said, with like Ring to Ring, Occult took the elements I liked about Noroi and kind of went boom, 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 did more and more of it. And like I say, that ending is shocking. And the final ending, like I loved it. It's like that sick twist of irony sort of thing, like, you know, that I loved about it. Like there's sick twists and like, you know, it felt like a Twilight Zone sort of thing.
Right.
Like he's been talking about miracles and it's heaven and it's going to be great. And you've got these people going like, it's hell. And the final shots are weird, bizarre, not very well crafted, but that's what they're designed to be.
No. And I'm sorry for, again, kind of throwing the negative at it. That ending scene, I kind of was just like, I wish that they had never shown it because it was such early 2000s After Effects.
True.
I don't know necessarily if there would have been a better way to have done it. I do like the idea of it.
Yeah.
I almost feel like if the guy had gotten like an audio recording or something and had heard that, maybe we could have gotten the idea. But the visual, the final visual of that movie is hilarious, and it's not supposed to be. You know?
No, I don't know. I kind of saw it as like a funny irony. I don't know. Like I think the thing is about like Shiraishi's movie, they are quite funny, and I don't think people realize that they're funny. Like, you know, they are meant to be. There are humorous moments in them, even in they're quite dark. Like there is some humor laced around it, and I think people don't realize.
Yeah, more so than
like,
I think.
Yeah, definitely. I know this one. I kind of felt like I liked the ending scene because, like I say, it's that sick twist of irony. You get to see, like, you know, the reality of it, and I don't know. It kind of reminded me of like House. The way the graphics were, like that kind of like psychedelic, kind of weird horror that came out of House.
I like, you know, I like the idea of it. You know, the idea is great. The problem is in the execution, and you know, the unfortunate reality is that because it's a no budget movie. I mean, I got to tell you, the Shibuya or Shinjuku Station sequence is, I mean, the way it's shot and the way it's done is frighteningly, you know, semi-believable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then to end the movie on something like that is, like I said, the imagery is laughable because now suddenly they're trying to go almost cinematic when nothing about this movie has been cinematic. But you know, the idea of it, I enjoy. You know, my biggest problem with the movie overall is really just the length. I think, you know, obviously we're talking about, you know, we want an organic kind of feeling movie, which Shiraishi is known for doing. But the editing, it felt like it was just dragging, and it was just like you're just sitting there, just like. For me, and I don't want to speak for Max, but never mind. I'm going to speak for Max because he said it. I felt like the ending dragged, but I guess it could be scary. And the realistic threat it is, not going to spoil it for people in the chat. And I just want to say hi to David Marshall, who says it's BS. I did not watch these movies. I did not. Oh, hi, Matt. Hello, how you doing? It was. For me, at the very least, it felt like, and the same thing goes with Occult or Cult. Sorry, too many cults going on. Occult, Cult. It felt like I felt like Shiraishi was kind of a one-trick pony a little bit. You know, it kind of felt kind of more of the same. There was things about it that I could appreciate, but it didn't feel as real to me as something like Noroi, like something as tight. Because it's this fine balance where it's like, yeah, you want to be organic, you want to like create imagery and you know, a narrative that feels, again, grounded and real. But it's still a movie at the end of the day, you know? And there's just scenes of these guys just sitting at McDonald's, you know, multiple scenes of them sitting at McDonald's, like doing nothing. And we had to go through that. We had to like sit there and like, okay, let's wait. And again, I could see the argument. I could see the argument to keep some of those things, but at the same time, part of me is just like, can we just move on? No,
you can't, Matt, because we're trying to develop that's the
you can adamantly disagree. I want you to adamantly disagree.
But you know what? I actually saw something really, really interesting about this movie. That, like, you know, like when he goes to the 100 yen shop and he's like weighing up the ingredients, sort of thing.
Yeah,
right? He's trying to weigh it up. That's actually kind of similar to how leeches taste their meal. Because, like, when they feel like one thing, and like, oh, this one's like got more blood in it than this one.
Oh, look at you, just diving in deep. Just no, that's interesting.
I didn't know what I'm talking about, Matt.
We should, not to interrupt, we should mention that leeches actually do play a pretty large part in this movie. So what James is saying is actually quite interesting, and I'm not saying that seriously. I actually did not know.
Noroi, it was like worms. In this movie, it's like leeches, and the leech symbolism is like I think it's like the parasite, like in the entity is a parasite essentially, and like he's doing that because as he's possessed, he's like weighing up what has more in it, sort of thing, to feed him, sort of thing, give him sustenance. But the way it's presented in the movie is because he's poor and doesn't have a lot of money, he's trying to weigh up what's going to give him more food. But it's actually the kind of like inside him, it's like the demon parasite weighing up, like, you know, that kind of thing. It's like symbolism. And I think that's what I like. Like, I understand, like, it's very hit and miss, kind of like showing a character just living their life. But I was so invested in the character and so, like, taken on the journey with them that I was kind of susceptible to it, I guess. Like, you know, and I was like just interested in watching this guy live his weird little life with the plot line in the background. Like, you know, it felt like a slice of life, kind of like, just like, this is this guy's life, this is what he does. Right. This is like a mini documentary about a guy. And I really liked that kind of element. And I know, like, yeah, he's sitting at McDonald's, but the point is he's sitting there waiting for them to call him for work and things like that. And it's just those little moments that I appreciate as character moments, sort of thing, to develop the character and kind of show this is his life. It gives that normality to the movie, whereas it's not cinematically moving along and like moving to every new point. Sometimes there are just like points where life stops for a bit and, like, you know, you're not doing anything. You're sat in McDonald's eating fries and drinking a coffee, sort of thing, waiting for something to happen. I don't know, I just felt that reflected it quite realistically. I know in terms of the movie it's not interesting, but at this point you're meant to be watching like a documentary about this guy's life. That's my feeling on it anyway. But I can understand why it's too.
No, I totally get that. And again, I want you to disagree because, like, this is good conversation here, but like again, to me, it just felt like it dragged. I understand exactly what you're saying, and I think that you definitely could convey those things, but I think you probably could have snipped 10 to 15 minutes out of it. Just out of that alone, just to make it a little bit more condensed, you know, to make it a little bit to up the suspense just a little bit more, kind of thing. But again, that was just me. It's an interesting movie. You know, I'm glad to have watched it. It's not one of those things where I'm like, oh my god, like I did not want to see this. But like, it's just one of those movies where I was just like, oh man, you know, like is this all that Shiraishi has? And not to segue, but is there anything? I was going to move into Cult next, but is there anything else you wanted to say about Occult before I segue?
I said my piece. I think it's a really good movie. It's like a Ring 2 situation for me. I prefer it. Speaking of Cult, the next movie, I did not like it. I really did not like it at all. Like, Cult. You didn't like Cult? I didn't like Cult. I love
high five, baby! Digital high five.
Yes, finally.
Let me go ahead and share some of these screens with people. Go ahead. You know, I'm going to let you go ahead and take it over again. Tell people about what Cult is.
Cult is like somewhere between like a found footage anime, as you can tell from the pictures, like a found footage anime movie. And it's so like ridiculous, and it's like basically a woman calls these exorcists because her daughter is possessed. So these two old school Shinto priests try and exorcise the demon from this young girl's body. However, it turns out there's a long con on. Bad things are happening, so they call this new age psychic medium who has superpowers basically to exorcise the demons and figure out what's going on.
Mention his name, James. Mention his name.
I forgot his name.
He even says it.
Yeah.
He goes, "I'm Neo," and they're like, "You're Neo?" And he goes, "Yes, I'm named after Neo from the Matrix."
Oh, fuck him! Fuck that. I just like you were talking about like the 2000s vibe from like Occult,
Oh, yeah.
the special. This is like this. Okay, this is what I imagine people think Final Wars is like. You know, it goes to the Final Wars. They say, "Oh, it's 2002 actiony and American action." This is the horror equivalent of that for me, sort of thing. Like I was like, "Oh my god, this is like." There is. I agree. Like I agree. There is some good imagery involved. Yeah,
and I got to agree with Ghastly Theater. I think they called it out very well. Cult is goofy, but some of the imagery is neat. Specifically, oh no, go ahead. Sorry, James.
I was just going to say, like, the bit where she eats the dog was like horrific, sort of thing.
Yes.
That's like, oh my god, that's like terrifying. Like, I love dogs. Like, you know, I hate the idea of dogs. So like watching this little girl just like devour a dog and then puke it up again was like, oh, nasty. And I liked the general idea behind the plot. Like I genuinely liked the whole like this girl is being used as like a vessel. It does copy Noroi in a way, but it's done in a different way. So it kind of really makes it. But there's so many weird like that. I think one of the idols gets possessed and kills her boss. And then like nothing comes of it. Like, you know, like she's at the and I'm just like, well, what happened there? Like, you know, they're using rocks to like carry on the possession or something like that. And it's just I'm like, what's going like and then at the end of the movie, the little girl is like half possessed and stuff, and it's just like he's like shooting balls of lightning out his hands, and I'm like, what happened to this movie? Like, you know, it just Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, that's basically it. I'm just trying to. I keep remembering bits, and I'm like, wait, why? You know what I mean?
You know, it carries on the Shiraishi thing. I like what Arju said. Wait, are you telling me a Japanese filmmaker made a live action anime? I'm shocked. Yes, exactly. But like, hold on. Considering how bad my eyesight and TV are, this CGI looks epic. It's imagery like that. The imagery that's on the screen right now is a memorable scene, and you know, the movies all have something like this in some way, shape, or form. Are the effects the best? No, but it's still, I think, the intent behind it. And the same thing that you said about the ending for, you know, Occult. It's more about the intent behind it than the actual imagery that's presented. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I actually agree with you. You know, like Shiraishi by this point had made several found footage movies, and then suddenly this felt like it was very narrative driven in terms of like you said, it was like an anime or a manga adaptation or something, because there's actual like characters. You have, you know, protagonists and antagonists, and there's like some supernatural war going on that the world doesn't know about. And it even, I mean, not to spoil it, but it even kind of like sets itself up for like a sequel or a series of movies. Like, what's going to happen after this?
Oh no, please no.
But you know, I mean, it just goes back to my feeling that Shiraishi really, he got something good with Noroi, and I don't feel like he particularly was able to deliver with at least the two movies that I saw that came after it. You know, that's perfectly fine. You know, it happens to a lot of filmmakers. You know, a lot of filmmakers where you're like, they have that one hit that you're just like, oh, cool. You know, like I love this movie. Yeah. And then everything they subsequently make after that is like of lesser par. But again, this is just my opinion.
Or derivative, I would say.
Yes. I can say I've seen at least one other Shiraishi flick, and that was Sadako versus Kayako. And I was not a fan of that either. You know, the concept of it I enjoyed. Yeah. But it was what it was. But yeah, dude, Occult, I am with you probably 100%. It was it's so different than the other two. Did I say Cult when I meant Cult? Sorry. This is wrong. Just name your fucking movie, two different things. But there are some masterful things that are done in it. But overall, I was not a fan. And again, Noroi is the one that I'm just like, go check this guy out.
Yeah,
And I would definitely probably recommend recommend Occult over Cult. My God, can we stop talking about these movies now?
Matt, you've got to realize he's now made another movie called Welcome to the Occult Forest.
Get out of here! Are you serious?
Yeah, it's coming out end of August. It's coming out. He's made another movie. It's coming out in theaters. I'm gonna watch it. It's currently it's being shown episodically on TV like a TV show, but then they're gonna release a movie version of it in cinemas. So I'm gonna watch it. So he's making another occult movie.
I was gonna say, you know what this means? We're gonna have to get you back on here to talk about it.
There's no escaping it.
Occult, the Occult Forest. Okay, sure. It's I don't know. Out of the, like I said, Shiraishi is a very interesting filmmaker. I think the guy deserves a lot of credit. He again, just with Noroi, I think that the found footage stuff, I think he affected something globally more so than the man is getting credit for it. Obviously, you can't sit there and be like, well, Paranormal Activity got all its ideas from that. But it's also kind of hard not to see that, especially when, we're still talking like early 2000s. So eyes were still on Japan for everything horror related. Ring, Grudge, everything, But it's a filmmaker that I really think that people should check out for sure. Yeah, would you agree with that?
I think if you're like an aficionado for horror, like you need to check it out because like Noroi is up there with Ring, Grudge, Ju-on, The Grudge, and all that kind of stuff. And actually, like going back to Noroi, I was talking to my girlfriend afterwards. We watched it. We went out for a walk. We went shopping, and I said, "What did you think of it compared to like Ring and Ju-on?" And she said it was more interesting. She said she felt more part of the story because of the found footage. So she kind of felt that Noroi was a little bit more interesting and like dynamic than like Ring and Ju-on, which are more traditional horror movies sort of thing. She said she felt a bit more part of the story and she enjoyed it a bit more. And she said it was just very interesting seeing how the story developed compared to like the more traditional filmmaking of like Ju-on and Noroi sort of thing. Ju-on and Ring, sorry. So it was interesting to hear that from her as well, like, and like, I kind of could see what she meant because like Ring, I wouldn't call necessarily just a horror movie. It's more like a thriller. It's like a horror thriller, like, because it's more about the time constraint. We need to find this body and we need it's more of a mystery thriller. We need to find out where this body is. We need to exhume it and we need to like bless it. And like that, like the main crux of it is that the horror happens at the end when Sadako crawls out the TV, whereas Noroi is consistently like pacing along with the horror always happening sort of thing. And these strange things are being documented as a full horror movie sort of thing. Like,
James, I wish you had never told me about this. Do you see what Max just said here? It looks like Neo comes back for Welcome to the Occult.
Oh, no. Oh, no, Matt. Oh, what are we doing with our lives?
I hope Ghastly Theater is excited. I mean, it's cool. I mean, you know what? That's cool. If they found a way to, make a sequel or something, So yeah, I guess Neo is back for the Welcome to the Occult Forest.
Yes.
I was gonna say we gotta have you back on to talk about that now. That's you can see it on the poster for it on Google.
Oh, I didn't see the poster. I just saw like a bulletin sort of news thing for it. I didn't actually see the poster properly.
Let me see here. Welcome to the Occult Forest. It's on Just Watch. What? I don't actually know where this thing is. Oh wait, hold on.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, Max is right. Max is God.
He sounds so happy, man.
Do you see this right here?
Oh, let's go! Oh, that looks like, okay, because of the last movie, I'm kind of just like, if this is what he's going for now, if this is what he's getting in for, like, you know what? I'll just go for the ride. Like, you know, I mean, that poster, it's campy. It looks like a late 80s, early 90s, like horror kind of thing. Amazing. Amazing.
I like the Japanese redneck over here to the left. That's especially interesting.
That looks. Oh, I can't wait to see that in cinemas. That's gonna be amazing.
Well, there we go. You just made our night, James. Thank you for letting us know about.
Thanks, Max. Thanks, Max, for setting us up again.
Would you mind if we moved on to? I don't know if you've seen anything recently. It's something I should probably open up to you as well. But I recently saw one was a J horror movie I actually would like to recommend.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's a couple other horror movies I want to talk about. Would you mind if we dived into those?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
So, are you familiar with a director by the name of Higuchinsky? Have you heard of that guy before?
No, I haven't. I may have seen like a movie of his like advertised or whatever, but I'm not familiar with the name. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, totally. I'm sure he's done more movies than just the two I'm about to recommend, but he adapted at least two Junji Ito or Ito Junji manga films, and he did Uzumaki back in 2001, about 20 years ago.
That's right. Yeah.
And Uzumaki's a weird movie. I like the manga better, but the movie itself is pretty freaking weird. I
like the manga better.
the manga version, it's one of those things where like I watched it just out of curiosity, and I like it aesthetically speaking. Then I found out that Higuchinsky back in 2000, so prior to Uzumaki, had actually adapted a short story from Ito, and it was Long Dream. Have you ever heard of Long Dream? Have you ever read that one?
Is that Long Dream? Is that the one where the sleep become part of the bed or something like that?
Yes. Well, yeah. It's like every time that this guy has a dream, it lasts like it might last. It feels like he's been gone for a couple of weeks. Other times,
right? Yeah.
Here, and then other times it's like thousands of years. And as this is happening, he is physically changing, as seen in this picture right here. It's an interesting story overall. And Higuchinsky had actually adapted this back in 2000 for like an hour-long TV special. I have been looking for it for the longest time, and then I actually went recently to a convention where I was able to find a bootleg copy of the DVD. I'm sorry, I should have coughed when I said bootleg. That's what I meant to say. And then Max and I watched it fairly recently, and I was actually, for what it is, I was pretty impressed by it. I mean, the thing has no budget whatsoever, and it actually, I mean, lighting, atmospheric wise, acting, it pretty much hits all the marks. It goes beyond the original short story, extends it a little bit. Like I said, it's not the best thing I've ever seen, but it's certainly not something I'm going to be like, oh, it's terrible, blah, 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 blah. It's actually not bad. I actually liked it.
Looking at that image that you've got up on screen, it reminds me of a little bit of like a creep show with like the lighting and like the sort of like the angle and stuff. It kind of looks very like hyper, kind of like, stylized, I imagine.
Yeah. I mean, it's very cinematic. Which is again a lot considering the movie has like no freaking budget whatsoever, But if you guys can, let me see if I can grab it right here. If you guys can actually find a copy of this, I highly recommend it. Obviously, like I said, I was only able to find it on a con bootleg, but it's pretty cool, especially if you like J horror movies. One of those things that is not talked about that often, The other one was, have you heard of a movie called The Cursed?
The Cursed.
The Cursed.
Edie.
Yes.
The Cursed Edie. I've heard of many movies called The Cursed, man. There are many movies called The Cursed. Which one are you talking about specifically?
It came out, it says 2021. I feel like it actually came out earlier this year. But it's it says it was made in 2021. It's about a kind of a new take on the werewolf thing, basically.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can grab the poster up just real quick.
I think I know what you're talking about. There's a Korean movie called The Cursed Dead Man's Prey. It was quite interesting. Yeah, I've seen this one. I've not seen this one, but I have seen like this poster. I've seen the trailer for it as well.
Yeah, it's so it's playing stateside. It's playing on Hulu right now.
Yeah,
and originally this was a movie I was going to see with Max, but I watched it on my own the other day. And dude, it's period drama, gothic horror, like Brotherhood of the Wolf style stuff. In fact, it even takes place in France and makes reference to the Beast of Gévaudan. If you guys are.
Oh yeah, I know that story. Yeah.
But I got to tell you, like I wasn't the biggest fan. It's like this movie. I mean, it does not look cheap. The effects are good, but dude, I cannot even begin to describe how the editing bothered me so much.
Right.
How many horror movies have you seen where like imagine like The Ring, right?
Yeah.
Or Ringu, the original, right? Imagine seeing all the Sadako backstory at the very beginning of the movie, and then the subsequent hour and a half that followed was about the main characters catching up to you, the audience, in terms of the mystery.
Oh, yeah, I've seen stuff like that. Like I've seen movies like that. Not The Curse, but I've seen movies like that. Like where it's that kind of like, oh, you see the backstory, and then everyone else is catching up to it. Like I hate that style of movie. Like because it's so boring.
Yes, it makes no sense, but it's this beautiful fucking film. Like, there's like some excellent shots. I think that you might like it, honestly. Like, I think it's worth at least a recommendation. But it's just so weird in terms of like the execution of it, But that's playing on Hulu right now, and I don't know. It's something different. Not the best thing I've seen. I think that. If I had edited it, James, it would have been the best movie ever made. I'm just telling you.
Oh, really?
If I had done it, it would have been the best movie ever. And then the last one I just wanted to share. This one is the most freaking ridiculous one. So Brian, my buddy Brian, my former couchmate on the Godzilla reviews, he came over last night, and we were trying to find a movie to watch. And we couldn't find anything. And then we found this movie, and by the title alone, we were like, oh my God, what is this? And we clicked on it. And then from the screen grab alone, we were laughing our butts off. And then we subsequently clicked on it. Have you ever heard of this movie? It's from like 1989 called Luther the Geek.
No, I have not.
Hold on, let me get the poster up for you because you just got to see this. It's pretty ridiculous. Luther the Geek. A movie by Lloyd Kaufman. It's a trauma movie, so that right there tells you everything you need to know about Luther the Geek. And it is ridiculous. It's stupid, and I don't think I've laughed so hard in a very long time.
I'm sorry, Matt. I just googled it. I want to just read the synopsis that I'm reading now.
Please do.
A carnival fanatic with a set of sharp metallic dentures bites the heads off his victims and goes on a killing spree after being released from prison. Is that the right movie?
That's correct. The biting the heads off is not necessarily true because he bites on the neck, but everything else is 100% correct.
Wow. Okay. I'm looking at these posters. There are two very different tones going on. There's the one you're showing me, which is like did the little carnival stuff, and then there's ones that make it look like a legitimate horror movie.
Yes. It is something else. That's all I can say. I mean, gratuitous nudity, violence, incompetence, in terms of filmmaking. And the thing that it doesn't say, you know, like you can see this on the poster here.
Yeah,
you know, the whole gimmick with these circus geeks is that they eat the heads off of chickens, right? Well, what that synopsis doesn't tell you is that throughout the entire movie, he clucks like a chicken when he's hunting his prey. And I'm not talking like an intimidating chicken. I'm talking like he just clucks like a chicken. And occasionally, when he's really excited, he'll call like a rooster. You know, it is something. And Max, I just got to say, this is just going out to Max. No one else in the room is going to know what I'm talking about. You know, the Luther character, Max, you know how when we watch movies, we always assign characters who's who. We said that you were Luther because Luther is squawking the entire time. It was it was something. It was something. And I don't necessarily know. I mean, I didn't hate it because I was just laughing my butt off. The guy that plays Luther is actually, he makes the movie because his acting is so over the top. He never says a word. But I think that he really makes the movie as entertaining as it is. Because if it was anybody else, you would have just been like, oh my God, whatever. You know? But yeah, Luther the Geek. There you go, James. Go check it out.
Maybe. I don't know. Actually, it's like I haven't actually watched many movies, but I've seen things shared about movies that I'm like, that sounds like weird or interesting. There's actually one movie that popped up to me. It's called Revenge of Billy the Kid.
Revenge of Billy the Kid?
It's a British movie. It's set in Cornwall, I believe.
Well, I mean, honestly, of course it's a British movie if it deals with Billy the Kid. You know what I mean? I mean, that's about the most British thing there can be in all Britannia, you know?
So I just want to read so that one sounded a bit like a horror movie, typical horror movie.
Right.
This one is a folk horror movie. And I just want to describe the story through the succinct plot that's given here. British villagers are gnawed by Billy, whose father was a farmer and whose mother was a goat. It's basically, from what I've seen of this movie, Revenge of Billy the Kid, it's about a horny farmer who is kicked out of the house. I saw the trailer. Basically, in the trailer, it shows like he's kicked out of the house by the wife, and he's bored, lonely, and horny. So he does things, and next thing you know, there's a half human, half goat monster running around the Cornish countryside.
Oh, God.
And it's like, what? I don't know. I found it through Twitter. Someone that I followed on Twitter, like a horror channel thing. Definitely. I haven't seen it in the flesh. I haven't watched it, but I saw the trailer and I was like, this looks like the kind of trash that if I was like 18, I would have watched it and be like, yeah, like drinking beers and stuff. But yeah, now I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh my God, why would anyone make a movie like that?
Yeah. Unless it was directed by Jim Hosking, I have no interest. But I would almost, oh my God, wow, Revenge. What was it called? Revenge of Billy the Kid?
Revenge of Billy the Kid, yeah. Gotta say, the monster suit looks really impressive. Like, it's a no-budget movie. I think it was made for only a few £1,000s. So, like, it was like for the budget, the suit looks really good. It's like a full animatronic suit, and it was like, but the funny thing was, when I read up a little bit more about the movie, they were saying like they were trying to bring some pride to the Cornish countryside, and I'm like, this is not the movie that you would want to bring. Right? This is not the Hollywood blockbuster that you want it to be.
Well, I mean, at least they had good intentions behind it, you know?
Yeah.
I like this. A British movie about the American outlaw Billy the Kid. It sounds like a recipe for a good time if you ask me. It's not Billy the Kid the Outlaw. It's Billy the Kid the half-human goat man child thing. Oof. Well, I not that I am trying to like stop the stream, but like I don't know how we're gonna top that one. I really don't. I mean, where do you go from there? Revenge of Billy the Kid. You know? I mean, oh my god, that's something. Have you watched anything else recently, like horror wise?
Well, like I said, I didn't watch that movie, by the way. I just saw the trailer.
No, I know, but it's something that
you... honestly, I've kind of been background watching movies. So like my girlfriend was watching Exorcist the Beginning, and I kind of was watching that. And I remember watching Exorcist the Beginning when I was a little boy, like in my room, because it was on late night TV.
Yeah.
And I was watching it. And I forgot it's actually quite a good horror movie, I imagine. Like, you know, like for an early 2000s horror movie, it's pretty grounded, and like the horror is very traditional. Like there's this really effective bit where like she's walking through the hospital, and like, you know, like she's hearing a baby crying, and then like and she checks on the kids and everything's fine. And then like she turns around and she's like blood following her and she's bleeding, and it's like quite shocking. Like, you know, like there's some really like intense moments in it. I forgot how intense it was as a movie. So that was quite good, actually. I thought that was quite a good movie, rewatching it as an adult sort of thing. I think she watched that Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, or whatever it was.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
that was like she was really into it, and I'm watching it like, this is rubbish. Like what is it? I turned to her and she kind of looked at me and she was like, "What?" And I just went, "Gomi." I said rubbish to her in Japanese, and she was like, "Nande?" Like she's really offended.
So, like, you know, like the first Conjuring movie was fine. The second one was not so good, and then that last one, I watched on HBO Max when it was on there, and I was just like, "What is this?" It's exactly what you said. It's freaking rubbish. You know, it was not good. And they got like a whole Conjuring universe going on. They got like and the stuff about Annabelle the doll. You know, there's like 50 Annabelle movies already, and I'm just like, I can't keep up with this Blumhouse crap, you know?
Yeah, I know. It's just like, it's a shame because like Blumhouse was like, I imagined it being the new Hammer horror. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, it's a Blumhouse movie, it's going to be this. But then like, I think that's now A24 movies are now becoming that like Hammer horror style. Like, you know, like they're producing some interesting genre movies. I think I've not seen like, you know, they produced like Midsummer, I think it was, and things like that. So like they're kind of like at the front of you know what I mean, like that kind of idea of like a horror movie studio sort of thing, like where they're most prolific in that. I really want to see the new Jordan Peele movie Nope. I want to see Nope. That's coming out in cinemas.
I've heard various things about that. I don't really care for Jordan Peele as a filmmaker, but I've heard various things. I've heard some people really enjoy it, others just be like, whatever. I would say it's more in the field of people really enjoying it as opposed to like disliking it, you know, for whatever. Going back to the A24 stuff, I haven't seen Midsummer. I did see The Lighthouse. Did they do The Lighthouse? They did The Lighthouse, right?
I think so. Hold on, let me just check on my phone. I think it is A24.
What else was there? The Witch? Didn't they?
A24. Distributed by A24. Oh, and it's a Robert Eggers movie. Robert Eggers is a really good British director. He is famous. He does like a lot of genre movies, Robert Eggers. He did The Lighthouse, obviously. He also did The Northman.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty.
The Witch.
Yep. The Witch.
The Witch. Matt, you uncultured. That's my culture, Matt. Yeah. That's the traditional spelling of witch.
Everybody in the chat has the unified opinion that Nope is pretty good.
Okay, yeah, it's one that I want to check out. Someone's talking about. Oh, Midsummer was bad.
It's Max. I mean, Max thinks everything is good, you know. So it's like, oh, Midsummer's bad because there's no robots in it, you know. Just like,
You could say Midsummer
Oh,
was
that
weak.
hit. I mean, I know you're waiting for this. Hocus Pocus 2.
Oh wow! Oh yeah, Hocus Pocus 2. Like there's bated breath. I'm waiting for bated breath, Paul.
If there was ever a movie that encapsulated me, Max, and Brian as a trio, I hate to say it, it's that movie. We were watching this movie. Sorry, and this is probably where I'm gonna like cut it out. But like Winifred's line, because I actually like the original Hocus Pocus quite a bit. But her opening line is actually quite brilliant, and it is completely something that I would say. She opens up the windows and she's like, "What a glorious morning! Makes me sick!" You know, and it's exactly something that I would say. You know, like I'll take that. I'll take that. It was it's a good movie. I think they're 30 years too late with that sequel, but you know, I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, the late end remake sequel thing has been happening recently quite a lot, hasn't it?
More than a lot, man. It's getting tired to the point to where you just kind of wish that they just wouldn't do it. You know. At least for me, there's some, like, I haven't seen the new Halloween movies, but I've heard that the new rebooted Halloween is pretty good. You know, I think that third movie.
I want to check them out.
Yeah, the third movie's on the horizon, coming out soon, something like that. But yeah, you know, it's just the time that we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need a sequel. It's fine as a standalone. I agree. So with that said, I don't know. I mean, we went from talking about Noroi and Occult to talking about Billy the Kid and how Matt is the witch in Hocus Pocus. I think might be a good time
I think
wrap things up. You think?
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to talk about before we maybe call it a close?
Just if you are interested in like the Shiraishi movies, definitely check them out. He's a director that I think deserves a lot more credit amongst J-horror, because like that's the point of what me and Matt are kind of doing. Like, even if we're critical of the movies, they're worth checking out because they're sort of like very interesting movies, and the ideas in them are different to what you get in other J-horror. He's releasing Welcome to the Occult Forest, which looks like a sequel to Cult, which might be fun and interesting to see in a cinema in Japan for me, and hopefully you guys can get to see it as well. There's a new Sadako movie coming out in autumn as well, Sadako DX, a sequel to the one that I saw and me and Matt reviewed 3 years ago, something like that.
Like that. It was something ridiculous.
Yeah. So like 3-4 years ago, we reviewed it. So there's a sequel to that movie coming out. I'll be checking that out and probably doing a review with Matt if we find the time and energy and life stops getting in the way of everything.
If only.
If only, yeah. But yeah, apart from that, like I say, check out Shiraishi movies. We'll be back with more horror stuff. And if there's any questions before we wrap up, or anyone wants to recommend anything, we'll shout them out from the comments, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean that sounds really good. That'll give me time to just kind of go over something really quick, update wise. If people are going to be watching this to the end at this point, please in the comments below, tell us if you want to keep on doing these kinds of live streams. I always enjoy having James on. I have very good conversations with them. I don't talk to him nearly as much as I should, but stuff like this is a nice little break from Tokusatsu, Kaiju, Ega, Henshin Hero stuff. There's a whole vast array of global cinema out there. I mean, we can talk about J-horror or K-horror all day long, but it's just really nice to get, recommendations for like some really cool movies, that kind of thing. And oh wait, you know what? That is something to talk about right here. Bonus commentary. Yeah, he asked me if I checked out the video he sent me, and I did. And this, James, I'm going to have to send this to you if you haven't watched it. It's called like Derek, tell me what it is. By the way, Derek, thank you for coming in. It's really good to see you. My House Walkthrough or something. And it's another found footage thing. It was done like maybe 5 years ago. It has like a couple of million views on there. And it's really bizarre. It's this guy is like walking through his house and he's going through like the same hallway almost like a dozen times, and the hallway continually deteriorates more and more and more. And you're getting like this weird story going into it. Accompanied with that, there we go. My House Walkthrough tour. Yeah. There's also a making of with that, and it's actually quite cool because the guy went to some painstaking lengths to really make some really cool things that honestly I don't think that the movie itself actually showcases well enough. They use a lot of filters and everything to kind of crop up the footage.
Right.
This guy's art direction was kind of like through the roof. Just weird. Like I don't know if maybe I was missing something. There's no real plot line. It's just really just this weird Japanese atmospheric horror thing. You know what I mean? And it's really and what Derek said, the making of it really sells it. It's really quite brilliant in how it's done, you know, and it's really quite inspiring. I mean, and by all accounts, from what I can tell, it was only like a one-person crew, just you know, switching out things in his house to make these things different.
Yeah,
it was really pretty cool. Oh, is this from Piro-san, who did the Cooking Idol video with the creepy doll? I mean, I don't know, Gaslight Theater. That sounds like it probably would be because there are quite a lot of creepy dolls in that movie. So, and James, I think you should check it out. I think it's something that you would really enjoy.
Yeah, no, I looked it up on my phone. I've just I've liked the video, so I'll catch up with it like another time and like let you guys know what I think. Like I'm not really following much YouTube horror. Like I guess there was I guess the only thing I remember was I remember watching that series. I think it was an Adult Swim series. And it was like, you know, when they were doing the like it's like the TV show like set inside the house following the family, and like the daughter goes all pink and like loses her hair. I've totally forgotten what it's called now. It sounds really like it's like a weird sort of like hidden camera like little snippets thing. I've forgotten what it was now, but it's like on like Adult Swim and stuff, like they would show like little clips of it between times sort of thing, and it was like this quite creepy like documentary trying to show like the life of this family. Yeah, this house has people in it. That was it. This house has people in it. That was freaky. Like I watched like an accumulated version on YouTube, and I was like, oh, like you know, it's so like creepy sort of thing to watch.
I'll have to check that out. That sounds great. I wanted to highlight this just because I think you would like this. IB Hish says, or Ib Hish says, A24 also did a movie called Lamb, the artsy Revenge of Billy the Kid.
Oh, damn, that's funny.
Okay, I guess we have confirmed that Piro is indeed the guy. Piro-san is the guy who did make that thing. He's making a horror game. I'm very curious for the outcome. That's interesting.
Unedited
Bear is a fantastic one. Oh boy, lots of recommendations coming in. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love
you can watch them on YouTube as well through the adult, like the like unedited footage of a bear and this house has people in it. You can see like on YouTube, like it's on the Adult Swim website for free.
I'm gonna have to check that out then, because I've never heard that before. I actually really found footage horror like when it's done well. Most of the time it's not, but when it's done well, I really enjoy it quite a bit.
Yeah, and it just gets weird, and it's like it uses like editing in a janky kind of way. Like you know what I mean, like so it's like it's very lo-fi horror, and it's about like the things that you see like in a mirror. It's not necessarily about jump scares. Like you can kind of just see like you'll see like a figure in a mirror in the background of an edit as someone's talking, and you just see them sat in the background. It's like really creepy and weird, and like you know, it's unsettling horror.
I'll have to check that out. I'm always good for new takes on the genre and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, I like this. Please do more of the streams like this. I enjoy hearing about weird Asian horror films and others. Have you thought about doing some Chinese monster movies on YouTube, like Big Snake and Snow Monster?
I see the trailer. Amazing.
I do it with James. Like you know, the YouTube channel is kind of in a weird place right now, just because of with content and things like that. Like you know, like we have like a steady like people, like we have 10 people in here, which is it's awesome. These 10 people have been watching us for the past hour and almost a half here. It's one of those like things where it's like you gotta placate to algorithms and things of that nature. So like, to expand into like Chinese horror film or monster movies and things like that, I would have to give some thought to that.
That just reminded me. There is a new, I believe it's a Thai movie coming out. It's called The Lake.
Yeah.
Did you see that trailer?
I did. Yeah.
Oh, I retweeted it because I liked it so much. It reminded me of like a creature feature becoming a kaiju movie.
Yes.
And one thing I really enjoyed about it is it's not about, you know what I mean? It's not about like a science team chasing after the monster all the time. It's about a village and like then a city and a town trying to fight off this monster. So, because like it's something that actually going into like monster movies and stuff, as we just came off of one, it's like or like discussing like the start of one. It's like like the recent monster movies we've gotten have been fun, but because they've been about giant monsters, it's like the monsters are getting up to like 300 feet tall, crazy things like that. This monster is a lot more like dinosaur-like from what I can see from the trailer. And there's like an element of like a child stealing an egg and stuff like that. So it has that creature feature, like the monster is at a human level. And it's about like this village trying to fight it off, and the scientists are trying to help them and discover what this dinosaurian creature is. So it's like, I think when I tweeted it, it's like Jurassic Park, The Lost World, Jaws, and like all those schlocky Loch Ness monster movies like rolled into one nice package sort of thing. And that's what I want. Sometimes you just want like a little bit more of a down-to-earth monster movie and not like this giant, these monsters are gods and like, they could destroy a whole city with their pinky finger. Like, you know what I mean? It gets ridiculous sometimes.
No, it really does. It really does. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. There was I was among some people at G Fest who were talking about that a certain distribution company was like this close to nagging the rights for America. So I think that it actually got snatched up by somebody else. So I think that it will be coming to stateside at some point. So that should be pretty cool.
Good. Yeah, really, I said it.
Really like to see that.
Yeah, it looks like Jurassic Park, The Lost World, Jurassic Park, The Host, the Korean movie, The Host, Jaws, Godzilla. I described like it had a baby, and this is the movie that and it just looks really interesting. It looks like very exciting. Hopefully.
No, I agree. Gasly wanted to ask, have we seen the movie Marabito? I've never actually heard that.
No, it's on my list. As always, it's on my list.
A very long list, I imagine.
I just have no time. I'm an adult now.
Adult, no, I completely understand. I'm just looking at this. Oh, okay, so Shimizu directed this. The guy who did Ju-on. Okay.
Yeah.
I will have to check this out.
I knew I know it exists because I've seen that poster of like the woman kind of like slumped in the corner sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm seeing that over in the Wikipedia right now. Came out in 2004. It looks like it was another found footage movie. Interesting.
Looks like a vampire movie as well.
Shimizu is an interesting director. I've only seen his Grudge work, and even with that, I've only seen like maybe a handful of movies within that entire pantheon. But
I mean, to be honest, when you see one Grudge movie, you've seen like pretty much all of them.
I mean, you're not wrong about that whatsoever. I saw, I think, the first two Ju-on the Curse movies, and I think I saw Ju-on the Grudge, and then obviously the American Grudge 1 and 2. I actually like the American Grudge, but it's it is what it is. I guess the theater says it might be their favorite Shimizu film found footage.
Okay.
Let's check that out.
I'm just checking out. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I was just checking out your feed just to see what was happening. So,
no, it's all good. It's all good. What were you going to say? Sorry.
I know. I was just checking over his thing because he's done so many horror movies. It's just they're not very well known. Like Oh, and he directed Kiki's Delivery Service, the live-action version of Kiki's Delivery Service.
There was a live-action version of Kiki's Delivery Service?
Yeah, it's like Ju-on the Grudge, The Grudge 2. Oh, he did Reincarnation. Oh, that's a fucking great movie. I love that movie, Reincarnation.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I haven't seen it.
It's the one where they recreate a hotel murder, but then the actors start becoming the characters they're playing and like become reincarnated. Yeah, and there's like creepy doll in it and stuff.
Gotcha. Question from Derek. This is actually a good one. We can probably make this one the last one tonight. Any thoughts on the upcoming Uzumaki animated movie? Actually, Derek, is it a movie now? Because last I heard, it was a series that was supposed to debut on Adult Swim. And that was announced like pre-pandemic, and then there's been like various updates of it that have been kind of weird. The director did something, and they showed off a little clip from it. And what's really interesting about it is that they're going full black and white to make it just like the manga instead of trying to do like something else. Uzumaki is my favorite Ito Junji. I got to say it right if I'm gonna do it. Instead of saying Junji Ito, I should say Ito Junji. My favorite manga of his, probably right next to Gyo and is it Tomie? Yeah, that's right, Tomie. And we've talked about a little bit of Ito's work on here. You've read some of his stuff.
Yeah, I've read Gyo, Uzumaki, and Tomie, and I've read some of his collected horror stories as well. Yeah. I also read a little bit of his Frankenstein manga adaptation that he did.
Oh yeah, I never got around to that one.
Part of it was basically it's just Frankenstein with his art style and stuff like that. But I think for me, Gyo is his favorite. Is my favorite of his. Like, I don't know. It's just something about it. It's like a messed up like body horror. Like
it's good. I like it.
Yeah.
The recently it's an older one, but last year they released Ramina here stateside, and I was not a fan of that. Like I really. What was it? Have you heard of that one, Ramina? It's like best way I can describe it is like it's almost like a 70s Toho disaster movie. Think Gorath by the way of Prophecies of Nostradamus or Submersion of Japan, but mixed with that really out of place sense of humor that Ito Junji occasionally has. You know what I mean?
Could you send it to me, Matt? Because I haven't.
Yeah, for sure. I'd be curious to see what you think of it, James. It's kind of like Gyo in terms of like Gyo is like very serious in the beginning, and then I feel like that whole third act is just a big WTF. You know what I mean? You're just like, and it's kind of like that with Ramina. But you got to give the guy credit. The imagery he comes up with is amazing. Some of the story setups are very good. Some of the the endings, the payoff's not so great.
Hellstar Ramina.
What's that?
Hellstar Ramina. Is it called Hellstar Ramina?
I don't know. Come on. Oh, just Ramina, according to this. Let me send this to you on Facebook just so you can.
That might be better. I'm trying to find it, but there's like 10 different things called Ramina.
No, fair enough. Check that one out. Tell me what you think. I'll bring this up so people at home can actually see what we're talking about here. It's again, it's not terrible. It's not good, but
oh yeah, that was the one. It's like got two names. It's like Ramina and then Hellstar Ramina.
Interesting.
Okay. The direct Japanese translation is Hellstar Ramina.
Okay.
Ramina is just the standard title that they gave it, but it's Hellstar. Yeah. Jigokuse means
that makes sense.
It's like Hellstar sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Anyways, back to the freaking Uzumaki animated movie thing.
Yeah.
Ghastly Theater says it's it's postponed again. The Uzumaki anime, which sucks. But
it's like because they did the Junji Ito TV series, like where they animated some of his short stories, and that was apparently really. I never watched it, but apparently I heard it was awful. Like the animation was really stiff.
Yeah.
It like all the color palette did not work, and like a lot of the scenes just were like very flat and boring. Like in terms of like the way they showed the horror. Like there's the one of the old woman that talks to the person across the way, and she turns out to be like a monster.
Yes.
And like the reveal in the comic is like black and white, so it's really dark and like creepy, and then like you see it in the color version on TV, and it's like not very good at all, sort of thing. Like, you know, it's just very like matter of fact.
Yeah,
like, you know.
Just, you know, echoing you, bonus commentary. I've heard the same thing. I've heard nothing but bad things about it. I think I watched one episode, or I should say, I watched. I don't know if each episode is like a short story, but I did see one of them, and it was just kind of like, you know, whatever, you know. Oh, by the way, wanted to say Paul Tackett just had to go, but then we picked up my boy Evan. Evan helped with the research for a lot of the Shin Ultraman videos, so I hope Evan is doing well.
Nice. Oh, have you had a chance to check that out, by the way, Shin Ultraman? Did you get to see the premiere in America? Have you been able to check it out?
You know, I don't even know if I want to get into it, but it's like everybody, I'm not even kidding you when I say this. Everybody and their motherfucking mother has seen this movie. They've reviewed this movie. And not only that, they've interviewed Shinji Higuchi on top of that. And I'm just sitting here and I'm like, what did I miss? What invitation did I miss? Because it's like the movie was shown in New York, you know, on West Coast.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm not even kidding you, like everybody on Facebook and Twitter is like, oh yeah, I was at the New York showing, and I'm just like, okay, you know, maybe I just was misinterpreting how big this thing was going to be, and like everyone was making the trip out there. But no, I haven't seen it yet. There still hasn't been any word on it. There was a fake tweet that went out today saying that Funimation had picked it up, but it was from a fake account and all that stuff. It was weird. But like I said, it's just like I said, everybody and their mother has already seen it. Like all of the YouTube crowd, all the people or anybody in the kaiju community. Yeah. I'm sitting over here. I'm like, well, okay. what do I care? I guess. So, no, haven't seen it.
I was just checking because I just saw someone. I heard it mentioned, and I was like, "Oh yeah, Shin Ultraman. Yeah, that happened. I forgot I watched that movie. That's not a good indictment for it, is it?
It's not good at all. It's not good at all. But yeah, you know, I mean, hopefully at some point, you know, it'd be fun. I'm not. I at this point, I'm not going to go out of my way to go see it.
No, cool. No. I think traveling to New York to see it, I'd be like, don't travel to New York to see it. Like, you know, in my personal opinion, I wouldn't travel across states to go see it. I traveled 40 minutes by train into central Tokyo to go see it, and I feel like I want my money back for the travel. From my perspective, like, you know.
Right. Yeah, it's yeah, you know, I mean, I doing the coverage on it and stuff like that. I mean, I'm pretty interested in it, you know, but I'm fully expecting, because your opinion is not like, you're not the only person I've heard that from, you know. A lot of people's opinions I trust have also said the same thing, but I'd be curious about it all the same, you know.
I think it's a fun experience, and like I said, like, I also always clarify this. I'm seeing these in Japan with the native Japanese language, no subtitles. So like, I'm going off a purely foreigner's experience of this foreign movie in a totally foreign environment. Right. So it's like, I'm not getting the subtitles. I'm not getting the context. I'm kind of like translating it in my head. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and trying to figure out things and put things together. So, like I said, like, mine might not be the best experience, but like in general, as a movie experience of just watching a movie and seeing it, I didn't enjoy it so much. Even with the language barrier, I didn't enjoy the experience anyway. Like, not as I did with Godzilla. And I've seen Shin Godzilla with like subtitles and totally in Japanese here in Japan. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's my point of view. Like, even Shin Godzilla, I enjoyed, like, as a non-English experience sort of thing. So yeah.
Right, totally. I like this. RJ says, I'm a New Yorker and I'm here to tell you, don't come to New York. Yeah, unfortunately, James and you and I have had conversations about parts of this country, but we won't get into it. Let's just leave it at that.
As someone who went to New York on a holiday and got mugged, I'm going to pretty much say, don't go to New York.
You're like 6'6". Who the fuck mugged you?
6'9" guy.
Oh my god! Are you serious?
Yeah.
I've never heard that story.
Did I? No. Long story short, I was on a film tour with my high school friends back in high school, obviously. And me and my friends, we were going down Main Street. We were at a hotel near Madison Square Gardens, and we decided, let's go for a walk. We're but simple country boys from Britain, so let's go for a tour of the big city. We take a wrong turn down the wrong alley. We end up on a side street. Next thing you know, we've got about 5 gangsters coming up to us, hey, yo, buy my mixtape. They're give us money, throwing us money at them. They know we're dumb tourists, and then we're and I'm at the time, I was about 6'5", 6'6", and it was just all these people surrounding us. And next thing you know, you're giving out all your money, and they're walking off down the street counting cash, and you're just standing there with a bunch of empty blank CDs. Oh well, I got scammed. You know what I mean? True. So yeah, that was my experience in New York.
Oh, God. Yeah. I am really sorry to hear that. That's
but I saw some beautiful sights. I saw the Statue of Liberty. I got to sit. I went to the top of the Empire State Building, and there was a saxophonist playing, and it was beautiful. Getting to see the city in 360. And then I met some really nice people in New York as well. Just in Times Square, wandering around. Some of the guys with the signs were chatting to us, getting to talk to us. They're really kind, nice people out there. So yeah, it's a mixed experience, but I generally enjoyed New York, but I probably wouldn't go back there again.
Jeez Louise. Yeah, not to get too much into politics, but Madam Mugger just shot a member of the mayor's cabinet recently. It's getting crazy out here. Yeah. RJ, please be careful out there, man. Please be careful out there.
Just be careful, guys, out there. Yeah. It's getting wet and wild out in the world, and
for sure. But
at least here on the live stream, you can sit in your cozy house. You can watch us. You can watch 2 generic white guys in glasses talking about Japanese.
Hey. You might be a white guy, but I'm the generic white guy around here. Okay, generic white guy. That's my title, son.
Fight you for it.
No. I mean, and that's the thing. With a lot of these live streams and stuff, we try our best not to bring real life into it too much.
No, yeah.
It's at the same time, it happens, and I'm sorry that happened to you in New York, but at the same time, I'm glad you had a wonderful experience over there.
Yeah.
I haven't been there in literally decades, and it'll probably be literally decades, maybe never, until I return.
Yeah.
But with that said, do you think that we should go ahead and wrap this up?
Yeah, like I said, I've got a lot of recommendations, and I don't know, I've just not really been keeping up with horror movies recently. Life's been getting in the way, but I'll definitely take on board and add it to the list. And like I said, we'll probably be back talking about Occult, Welcome to the Occult Forest, and Sadako DX coming up over the next couple months. So I've got those horror movies to look forward to. So more J horror from my end coming. If there's anything coming up, then we'll talk about it. I'll probably try and watch it.
Sure.
We'll just maybe do some more general horror club stuff. I think this is quite. I'm enjoying it. And
No, I love. I mean, I tell you this every single time. We finish one of these things. I love hanging out with you. We don't talk nearly enough. And then when we get to chat about this stuff, what's nice is that it's a bit of a break from, again, kaiju, tokusatsu, that kind of stuff. I do love horror movies. I love good horror movies. And to be able to be, you opened up my eyes to, again, Shiraishi's work. And it's just some great atmospheric stuff. It's the kind of thing that really genuinely I love. It's the kind of creepy stuff that you just really hope for. So yeah, no, thank you for coming. We'll definitely plan on doing something again with this soon. For everybody in the chat, August is going to be interesting. I can confirm at least one thing a week from tonight. But a week from tonight, we are actually going to be featuring Ed Higuchinsky, who, in the words of Norman, and it's hard to argue with that, Ed is probably the most important Westerner when it comes to Godzilla. Ed is the guy that started writing about Godzilla in a serious journalistic fashion back in the late 70s. And specifically what we're going to be talking about with Ed on here is he's going to be talking about his trip to Japan, his first trip in 1982, where he visited places like Tsuburaya Studios, Toho Studios, and he encountered a bunch of Showa stuff, suits, the like. You'll have photographs to share. And not to spoil anything, but on that trip, that is also where he encountered. And as far as I know, out of all the people that have written about Godzilla, Ed is the only person to have done this. Ed had an encounter with the one and only Ishiro Honda, like the man. So that's I'm very honored to be hosting that. It's definitely going to be, on par with like a Norman stream where it's just the stories and stuff that these guys have. I mean, Ed's awesome. He's really a terrific, just completely selfless guy. But that should be really, really, really cool. And then we also have the 10-year anniversary coming up. I mentioned it last live stream, but officially for those of you who have not heard, the 10-year anniversary is coming up. We're having a live stream that we're going to feature giveaways. We've already had some donations courtesy of Toku Toy Town, of which is a really, really cool high-priced item. Actually, I don't know what made them do that, but Jay Key over there was extraordinarily gracious and extraordinarily generous and donated us. So some lucky Monstrosities fan out there is going to be getting that amongst other things. It's not going to be happening on the day. August 8th is actually the 10-year anniversary officially. We'll probably be featuring it a little later in the month. And we'll probably have some other things here and there. I've got some other videos in the work and blah, 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 blah. It's going to be fun. So, James, plug your stuff before we head out.
I'm a pretty private guy now. I don't do much. Like, my Twitter is pretty much just me liking art and stuff. So I don't really have any projects or anything going on. But if you are interested in following me on Twitter, my Twitter handle is Semajdebus, SEMAJDEIBUS. It's just friendly, like I say, it's my regular account. I don't really, I post a lot about monster stuff, but it's not like actual stuff. Like, it's just my personal account. So if you're interested in finding out what I'm like as a person, follow me there or like whatever. But really, I don't do any projects. I'm but a humble English teacher, just living my life and doing my thing, and then talking about horror movies with Matt. So the next time you'll see me probably be on this channel, or skulking around a live stream every now and then, watching Matt talk to these amazing, fantastic kaiju historians.
Nobody skulks around quite like you do, James. I just got to say. Oh, look at that! The bots came back just in time to get it. I like it. It's friendly. Then what the hell is it doing on Twitter?
I don't know.
Yep. Well, James, thank you very much for coming in tonight. It was a lot of fun. Everybody, go check out the movies that we talked about tonight, especially the works of Shiraishi. Go check out Long Dream too. I think you'd enjoy that.
Yeah.
And for Sadako's sake, keep watching J Horror and Kaiju Ega and Tokusatsu for the good of mankind and yourselves. We'll see you soon, and I hope you guys have a happy August. Technically, it's already August in Japan. I still got like 2.5 more hours before it's that time. But happy August, everybody, and we will catch you soon. Take care.
All the best.